Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We are talking to Jason today. Jason is a men's divorce coach and one of our Fresh Starts experts, and we are thrilled to have him on board and talk to him today about what he does and how he helps people and how he works with them. Jason is on our, hey Nikki, Jason's on our current season of A Fresh Story. He is talking about divorce announcements and why they're important, especially for men. There is a lack of support for men when they're going through divorce, and we're super happy to have Jason on board to talk about how to support the men in your life through divorce. So we'll be doing a lot more with him, and we're going to talk to him today about what he does and why he does it and how he supports people, especially men, through a divorce. So he will be on in a second. If you haven't checked it out already, please go check out the newsletter for A Fresh Start to the Day, which is a daily newsletter that has 4 meal ideas, literally 4 meal ideas every single day, plus a podcast recommendation and so much good stuff. Affirmations, wise words. It goes out every day of the week at 8:15 a.m. And today we actually just launched our 5 books to read this summer. So if you sign up for A Fresh Start to the Day, you will also be getting our monthly book picks. We're going to do 5 books a month that we recommend, that we loved reading. So we're very excited about that. And when Jason gets here, we'll chat with him. If you're interested in becoming a Fresh Starts expert, we absolutely adore our experts. Please go to the link in our bio and check out. We have a couple different levels of membership. But if you are looking to get your name into the world and to network and have a community of other experts to support you, because as you know, being an expert, it can be pretty lonely when you're working from home all day or when you're on Zoom with clients, then it's a great place to be. Thank you, Nikki. Nikki said we are our favorite book recommendations round. Thank you. We are so excited about the 5 books we picked for summer. They are by people that we know and that we've interviewed and that we are so supportive of, and all women from different walks of life. There are novels, there are memoirs, and they're all fantastic reads. So definitely check out A Fresh Start to the Day for all of the book recommendations. And Jason will be here in 1 second. And what else do we have going on? This summer, if you are curious, if you're looking to join Fresh Starts and you're an expert, we're going to be doing some really great workshops. I'm going to be hosting some workshops on kind of like marketing 101 for therapists and coaches. And Jenny is going to be doing some great workshops on more of the graphic and business and SEO and all that good stuff. And we're going to have some people come in to do email workshops and all the business side of things that you need. And that's all included in your membership, which our top membership is only $55 a month, which is really wild. So let me just make sure that Jason's not messaging me here. Making sure that Jason is here. And we will get started on this. Let's see here. Oh, let's see, here's Jason. Okay, let's see. Hold, please. Thank you for being patient. Let's see. Okay, while we're waiting, just if anybody has any questions about becoming a Fresh Starts expert or anything about Fresh Starts, as always, Fresh Starts, as a reminder, is the first and only platform for all of what you need to build a registry, always for free, for anything, any life milestone, any life moment. There's Jason, so let's get here. Okay, go. Instagram's a little tricky, so we're gonna, and today is one of those days. Nothing is working today. Is anybody else experiencing this? Literally, Jenny and I keep saying nothing is working today. Yay! Nikki said she's starting her first registry for a move. We love that, Nikki. Make sure to send your registry to the registry fairy, and sometimes you get a gift. Registry fairy being Fresh Starts. We're going to invite Jason in here. Instagram loves to be so glitchy with lives. Let's get this going. Jason, I invited you in. If you're listening, make sure you're on. Make sure you are on your phone. Sometimes that is a little tricky. Let's see here. What's this? Okay. Let's make sure that he is coming. I'm telling you, it's one of those days. Nothing's working. It is. Okay, let's see. Accepting Jason. We're inviting him. Oh, there he is. Yay, it worked.
Yay.
Instagram Live is so glitchy, but we're so happy to have you here. How are you today, Jason?
Olivia, it's a great day. I'm so glad that we got the glitches out of the way and we can roll forward, right?
I'm so excited. Okay, so I was saying before you came on, we're so happy you're part of Fresh Starts because we are seeing an uptick of men who come to Fresh Starts for support through divorce. And I personally have a lot of guy friends. Like, I'm 39. This is kind of the age that a lot of people are going through a divorce. So thank you. Nikki says, yay, Jason. So glad everybody gets to meet you.
Hi, Nikki.
So there's really a lack. Every time, I'm going to say this, every time I go on a podcast or every time I do an interview, people always want to know, do men use Fresh Starts? Yes, men use Fresh Starts, but there's a huge lack of support for men going through a divorce. So I would love for you to just introduce yourself and talk about what you do and your passion for helping men specifically, and then how you work with people.
That'd be awesome, Olivia. Thanks very much. You know, I am a divorced father of 2 adult children, and it was really my divorce itself that propelled me, like so many divorce coaches, into this realm. I specifically like to work with men because, just as you said, the resources for men are limited, and men have a hard time getting out of their own way when it comes to asking for help. And so, you know, I want to destigmatize the act of asking for help and turning to somebody as an advisor who can help you through your divorce process. And that's how I want men and women to see me, as, you know, a thinking partner and an advisor, just like they would, you know, turn to a financial analyst or a lawyer or another expert in their field.
Yeah, I love that. I was saying you were on this season of A Fresh Story. You talked about divorce announcements, and you said something that really blew my mind, which was that for a lot of men, blew my mind. For a lot of men, divorce is such a failure because they're successful in everything else, right? They're successful on the golf course, they're successful at business, but then with their marriage, it really feels like a failure. And you're working very hard, as you know, what we do here, to really destigmatize it. It's not a failure, right? So how do you work with people, like, you know, as a divorce coach specifically for men, and what do you do with them?
You know, I try to walk them through, just based on my own experience and the training that I've had, it's really a 3-step process. You know, I like to say divorce is, there's an emotional component, there's a financial component, and there's a logistical component. And the biggest thing for men is getting through the emotional component of, oh my God, I'm alone, I feel like a failure, I don't know where to go, and I don't have anybody to talk to, because let's face it, guys aren't the best about talking to other guys, especially face to face like this. And so, you know, I think that helping guys get through the emotional component so they can be credible in the logistical and the financial and the legal components of divorce is really kind of where I like to focus.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of guys come to you who maybe, you know, are not the default parent, or maybe weren't there as much, but now they kind of have to show up in a different way, right, for their children? Is that something that you could help them logistically and strategize with as well?
Absolutely. And I'll let them know that also from my own experience is that, you know, like so many parents, we were 2 working parents. And, you know, I think my parents who lived in the same community might have spent as much time or more time with my kids in their formative years because they were available to do pickups and drop-offs and sleepovers. And what I felt, you know, if I have a guilt or a regret, it's that it's that I wasn't there for my children as much as I could have been because I was busy working. We were a 2-job family. But the work that I do with men going through divorce is to help them understand that it's never too late to reset that. It's never too late to be able to have a great relationship with your kids, It's never too late to restart that relationship with your kids.
Yeah.
And you'll be doing it as a single person rather than a couple or a mom and a dad,
Right.
which carries a completely different dynamic, which is exciting. You don't have to ask permission from somebody else
Yeah.
in order to engage with your children.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, and I think that there's probably a lot of dads who feel so lost upon the divorce because they don't know, who to turn
Yep.
to or who to talk. And men, like you said, they're not talking to each other, right,
Yep.
about any of this stuff. They don't know how to find resources. They don't know how to find a financial analyst, and specifically, right, for a divorce. So if somebody is watching this and maybe they have a brother going through a divorce or a cousin or a friend, or they're going through a divorce and they're a man, can you give us, speaking of logistics, logistically,
Yep.
how do you work with people? Where do you work with people? And what does that look like?
Sure. Well, I generally work with people in a virtual manner because that tends to be easiest for the busy lives that we lead, right? Nobody wants to show up at an office and spend 45 minutes talking about stuff. So I like to work with men in a sort of an all-inclusive capacity where 3 to 4 times a month we get together or more if needed, but we get together on a personal level, like we're talking right now, and then provide email and text support on top of that, so that if they have a quick question when they're dealing with a lawyer, or they've got a document they want to review, or they just want to text out some frustration because aren't we all in the middle of a divorce venting a little bit?
Yeah.
And I'd much rather they were venting to me than spending $400 an hour venting to a lawyer.
Yeah, or venting to their co-parent, right?
That's right.
And so probably I'm going to assume, because I'm a huge fan of divorce coaches. We talk about this all the time. They're very underused. People still don't really understand what they do, and that's something we're trying to educate the world on. But if you could have an outlet like you for a guy who's going through a divorce to talk and say, "Oh, Jason, she's driving me crazy," right, or whatever it is, it's going to be much better in the long run, right, for their relationship with their children's mom or dad or whatever, to have somebody else to listen to that anger.
Like it or not, if you've got kids, you're always going to have a relationship with your ex.
Yeah.
And you may not see eye to eye. You may not even talk to them on a regular basis. Yeah. But you've got to be able to understand where they are, and you got to be able to talk to your children when they want to talk about, in my case, their mom.
Yeah.
And that's a real gift you can give to them. You don't have to, send them birthday cards or engage on a regular basis, but you do have to understand that there are still 2 people in a relationship, even when the relationship's done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate all that. So how can people get in touch with you?
The easiest way to get in touch with me is to go to my website, thescrivenprogram.com. You can find me on the Fresh Starts registry, obviously. Yep. My email address is jason@scrivenprogram.com. Great. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. And, I like to see new clients at times that are good for them. So I do evenings and weekends primarily when it comes to meeting with people, because I know that's when people are available.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. If you, like I said, if you have somebody in your life that's going through a divorce, that is a guy that has no idea where to get started, or even in the consideration phase, right? If they're I would say go to Fresh Starts, get in touch with Jason, send him an email, send him a message. This will obviously be up on our Instagram. You can rewatch this. You can go to Jason's profile at Fresh Starts. There's a ton of information there, testimonials, all the good stuff. Jason, we're so appreciative of you and so thankful that you're part of Fresh Starts, because we have to approach this from all directions. And I'm just, I'm really glad that you're there for the people who need it. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure, Olivia. Thank you and Jenny for Fresh Starts, and anybody looking forward to helping and working with you to create a sort of a new life, strong and free after divorce.
We got it. We're going to help. We're going to change the world together.
All right, rock on.
Got it. Thanks, Jason. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.